Hi and welcome Patreon members. It's Q&A. This is for March, but I'm just a week late getting this video out. It should have been put up last week. I've been really busy in the background doing bits and pieces and trying to get a bit more done on this book, which I will update you on because we've got quite far on since the last time I spoke to you about it. So anyway, there was one question this month. Thank you very much, Susan. She asked me, I'll just find the page. So I'll be referring from my notes because these notes I wrote down a while back. Joe, do you steam set all your yarns or do you still wash some? Also, do you think yarns need to be thwacked? Okay, right, so I think sometimes I do still wash yarns, but very, very rarely. Yeah, because sometimes, like everybody, we all want to just get that yarn spun up. I usually leave mine on the spindle, on the bobbin, sorry, overnight once I've applied it to let it just sit and rest. But I very rarely have I just want to get it spun, you see. So I find steaming it just is so much quicker. I maybe have to niddy-noddy it up. I steam it in the morning and a couple of hours later all the moisture and everything else is calmed down and dried off. There's no wet molecules in it, and then I can get to work straight away. So for speed and efficiency, I think that's the best thing. Thwacking, now there is reasons as to why you want to do specific different types of preparation or final preparation of your yarn. Now thwacking, I'm going to read from my notes, okay? Thwacking wet yarn is a finishing technique for hand spun yarns and involves slapping a damp skein against a hard surface like a wall or a sink or a bath. To set the twist, evens out the bumps and increases a halo, potentially leading to a fluffier, more woolen-like yarn. So it's great for things like a mohair blend or haiku alpaca blends that you've done on your drum card. You've blended the fibres together and this, that and the other with a wool. The haiku alpaca is a short staple length, and so is obviously mohair. So they halo anyway, but by thwacking those, you'll end up with a really lovely halo that you would get, well, nearly as good as the stuff that you would get if you were to buy a ball of mohair yarn. You want that halo. That's the whole point as to why you're doing it. But I like to do it for those sort of fibres, the shorter staple length fibres. But I think it's really great for heavy winter Aran wools as well. So you've got that more airy sort of lofty wool to your garments, or any type of winter like hats, gloves, shawls and heavier shawls that you've done as a double knit or as an Aran or a chunky knit. I like doing it for that sort of thing. So these are a few points that, just to put you out there, sets the twist. It helps to set a twist in the yarn, making it more stable and less likely to unravel. Evens the yarn out. The impact of thwacking can help it to smooth out any bumps or inconsistencies in the yarn structure. Loft and halo. Thwacking can cause the fibres to bloom and create a more fluffy and lofty yarn with a noticeable halo effect. Strengthens. Some spinners believe that thwacking can strengthen the yarn, making it more durable for certain projects, so like your heavier wearing goods. Elasticity. This method can slightly reduce the elasticity of a yarn. Now, when you think elasticity, you can get elasticity when you spun it in specific ways because you want that elasticity in the yarn and durability for something that you want to stretch a little bit. Felt. Thwacking can slightly felt the yarn, which can be helpful for thick single yarns, such as your Icelandic loppy yarn if you're spinning that up. Importance. Thwacking is not a necessary step in finishing, but it is a technique that can be used to achieve specific results, such as fluffier and more woolen-like yarns. Consider. Before thwacking, ensure that your yarn is structurally sound, as over thwacking can damage or felt it. Okay, so if you've spun up and applied a yarn that's got lots of thick and thin sections in it, you may find that there was really thin, delicate areas because you've not spun consistently, may split and break. Okay, how to thwack. So I've written this down, but I'm going to show you. I've got a yarn over here, and it's actually an alpaca blend that I dyed once it was spun up. Okay, so you can see there's got a little bit of hair fluff on there, and I'm going to thwack that, and I will show you the results of that next video, okay, because it will take me an afternoon to dry it, but I'm just going to go and soak it under the sink in a second. How to thwack. After wet finishing your skein, grasp one end firmly and swing the skein forward, allowing for the middle of the skein to hit and strike a sturdy surface, something like a PVC pipe or the back of a chair. Although do it outside, because even if you've got it wrong and you've got most of what you thought was a fibre, the moisture out of it, you'll still end up with sprays of something all over the place. And then rotate the skein and repeat several times to ensure that it's been evenly thwacked. So I'm just going to run this onto the warm tap. It's been steam set, but I'm just going to quickly wet it through, give it a quick ring, and then I'll show you how I thwack. So it'll take a minute, just a minute while I just rinse this through. Because it's a chunky yarn, it takes a minute just to soak it up. It's a merino and alpaca blend. This is an Aran weight yarn. So it's nearly done. One end of it is definitely soaked. I have taken photos of it, so next time, on the next video, I will show you see if there's actually a difference before and after. As I say, this has been steam set already, so there might not be a massive difference, but it's more to do with the demonstration that I want to do for you, to show you. If you've never done it before, then you'll know how to do it. It could be a technique that you've never heard of. I used to thwack all my yarns when I first started. Right, that's that done. I will just squeeze that out, it's all wet. Oh, there we go. So there it is, wet. I'm going to ring it another one more time because I can see where this is going to go. So I'm just going to give it a good twist. Right. So we're doing this in the kitchen. So I'll turn that around and I will, got my chair here. I'm going to move out the way, love, and see if we can you can see it on the camera a little bit better. So what I do is I grab one end. Okay, I'll just tilt you down a little bit. Excuse the mess, honestly. Right, watch out, girls. So, come, move. So, I've got one end here, and I'm aiming for the sort of middle section to thwack the back of this chair. And then I will swap the ends around. And I will sort of move it around. So I've just done that end. So what I'm going to do is going to open it up in the middle and do the ends this way. Now my owner thinks I'm playing a game. Right. So I will alter the dimension, the different prospects, and I can see it's already getting fluffier. If you have a look now, can you see how it's getting more of a fluffy halo on it? That's what you're looking for. It's not so much what you're looking for, that's the result that you're going to get. So I'm going to twist it around again, drop that end down. And you're giving it a really good firm thwack. There we go. And one more time, just for measure, I'm going to straighten out a bit. Now thwack it. It's really good for frustration, and after the fortnight I've had, it's a brilliant form of relief. There we go. There we are. That'll do. So you can actually see how much more fluffier it's got, and there's all those alpaca fibres coming out a little bit more. So I'll photograph that later a bit more close up, and then you'll be able to see that in comparison to the other technique that I'll be showing you one more. Okay, so wet felting. I say wet felting, wet finishing. Wet finishing yarn, essentially washing it to relax the crimp, sets the twist and can remove oils or dirt, resulting in a softer, more stable and potentially brighter yarn, especially for natural fibre like wool. So like if you there's a lot of people out there that like to spin a fleece with the oil, with the lanolin still in there. So wet finishing you really need to do if that's the type of wool that you're spinning with, or if, as I say, you're blending mohair or alpaca that you've got from a breeder, and you don't want to wash it in case it felts because it's quite a delicate fibre, but you're going to go blend it on your drum card or on your blending board as it is, then carry on with that. Spin it up, then wash it so you can get all the dirt and everything else out of there. So if it is going to felt, it's going to be like that, slightly felting in your wool yarn. Okay. So a couple of set points on this. Relaxing and set and twist. When yarn is spun, it's under tension, and the water in wet finishing helps to relax this tension, allowing the twist to redistribute and set, leading to a more even and stable yarn. Removing oil and dirt. Weaving yarn, for example, often contains oils from the spinning process at the mills, and wet finishing the yarn or the woven stroke knitted project helps to remove the remnants of those oils and dirt that may still remain. If you like to spin in the lanolin, then this you will do once you have spun the yarn. Wet finishing allows the fibres to bloom and relax, revealing the natural characteristics of your fibre. Softening and stabilising. Wet finishing can make the yarn softer and more pliable, and the process can also help stabilise the yarn, making it feel less prone to snagging and unravelling. Fibre special effect. Wool can shrink and bloom during your wet finishing, and the heat from the water, fine, the next page, the water can begin the felting process, and some fibres help to strengthen the end results in knitting or in your fibre from weaving. So that's as well for singles yarns. Singles yarns, I think we could probably do with covering that, and I'll make sure it goes in my book in preparations sort of things, because it's a slightly different technique. You don't want to steam singles yarns. You want to do a reaction setting. So you want to make sure that when you spin your singles, they've got a really good twist in it and a little bit maybe more energy than what you would do. You don't want to spin it too fine neither. You want to do it so it's more of a manufactured 4-ply sort of weight for a singles yarn. I mean, if you want to spin it thinner and that's how you like it, then that's fine, but it just helps with the process. Because what I do when I'm doing my setting the twist in my singles yarn, and I will go through this, is I get a bowl of really cold water, okay, and then I'll fill up my sink with warm soapy water, and I will soak the singles yarn in the skein in the cold frigid water until it's completely saturated. Then I'll give it a quick squeeze and I will throw it straight into the warmer water, like hand hot water, and that helps create a semi-felting reaction, which helps strengthen your singles. So that's when a wet finishing yarn is the best way to work with your singles, but you want a reaction, you want a semi-felting reaction. It just helps strengthen that wool. Cotton and linen, these fibres relax and soften during wet felting as well. Note for weavers, wet finishing is an important step in your weaving, whether you use milled cones of yarns or with hand spun yarns, as it helps to ensure the finished fabric is stable and will hold its shape for after washing, making it easier to work with, especially as you do a slightly filling process as well afterwards. once the water's drained away, but you really need to, it is a process you have to do. When to wet finish. It's generally recommended to wet finish yarns before using it in a project, as the changes in that occur during the wet finishing and can be difficult to control once the yarn is incorporated in a garment or a fibre. So going straight from your bobbin with your plied yarns going into a knitted project, okay, if you've spun that with too much energy and you haven't relaxed it, either steam set it or wet finished it, okay, you're going to end up with a lot more. You're still going to end up with all that energy stuck inside your knitting pattern, so, or your swatch, or whatever it is that you need it for. So when you go to wash it afterwards, you might find that it won't sit straight. It'll be all contorted and a little bit different, wonky donkey looking. So it's really, really important. If you need it for speed, go and steam it. It takes you 5 minutes to steam it, and that's what we're going on to next. Steam setting yarn, especially hand dyed or hand spun yarn, helps to fix dye, sets the twist and creates a finish balance. I use this method often with especially with my art yarns, okay. Dye fixation. Steam setting, which involves the yarn to heat and moisturizes, helps the dye molecules bond more firmly to the fibers, resulting in a more vibrant and wash resistant colour. So say you're using, you bought yourself some manufactured yarns from World of Wool or wherever you get your supplies from. There's loads of independent ones out there. Or even if you've got hand spun wool that you're going to dye afterwards, you can use this method and it will help to freeze those molecules in place with the heat, okay. You can put them in the sink and do your wet finish, not a problem, but it really does help with that transition. Washing it, the dye molecules bond more firmly to the fibres, resulting in a more vibrant and wash resistant colour. Setting the twist. Steaming can help set the twist in hand spun yarns, creating a more uniformed and balanced strand. Steam finishing. Steam setting can be a crucial step in finishing hand dyed or hand spun yarn, ensuring a professional looking and more durable product. Okay, have we got any more information on this one? Yes, we have. Customization. Steam can also be used to customize the shape of a knitted or crocheted project, allowing for stretching or shrinking as and when needed. So you may have washed your garment and put it out on the line or put on a blocking pad and it's not quite gone the shape that you expected it to. If you've got a kettle or a clothes steamer, you can help realign that shawl or that jumper that seems to have dropped or moved around and is not quite how you thought it would look. You can use the steam to help soften those fibres. Moisturising and relax. Steam can also help moisturise and relax the fibres, making the yarn feel soft and supple. Perfect method to use with rovings that you've dyed or bought from somebody, or has been stored away in a braid and feels compacted, okay. You've seen me do this many a time. Or you've dyed the roving and it feels slightly felty because you've maybe had it on too much of a higher heat just for a little while and it feels a little bit rougher than what it should be. Hovering it over steam on a kettle or a travel steamer will help rejuvenate the wool to be so much easier to work with and softer to prepare to spin with. So I'm just going to go and stick my kettle on. Here's a little hand spun yarn that I prepared earlier. This one's actually from two Christmas Advents ago. So you can see there's loads of twist and energy in it. It's not been steamed or washed or anything. I never wash my art yarns. Never. I only steam set them. Mostly because I don't want to lose, especially when you've got those big beehive coils in there, I don't want to lose the characteristics of that. And my thought in my head is like, oh, it's going to go in there and it'll never look the same again as how it was when it came off the bobbin. So I only ever steam set my art yarns because I want it to keep its structure. I don't want the coils to move up and down on the core spun thread, especially if I haven't been able to find a thread that's got a grip in it and I've only got something that's quite shiny and silky. So I'll just pop over here and put you in a place where you should be able to see me at the kettle. We'll just wait for this for the steam to start. Bring it over a little bit. So we'll just wait for this kettle and then I'll be back with you in a sec. Okay, so the kettle's nearly boiling. I'm just going to get it to full boil and then I'm going to turn the heat down. Okay, so now we've got the steam coming. So here is my little art yarn and I'm going to put this over the top and you'll start to see the fibres move. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Turn up a little. You need a bit more steam. And you'll start to see your yarn move. And really what in essence is happening, the steam is relaxing the twist and the tension of the fibre that you've spun into coils, and it's helping to relax that structure that you've created. And you can do this with normal 4-ply DK weight yarns, whatever you spin. I like to do it with my art yarns because it just, as I say, it helps keep the structure for me. And I don't have to worry about it losing the look that I've spun into it or the work that went into creating it. So you can see how much more relaxed that is in comparison to the rest of it. So I'll just keep doing this. Just watch your fingers, you don't want to get too close. And it feels different as well. It feels softer. This feels a bit rough, but this side that I've just done feels softer. I'm just going to run that back that way. It's not got as much energy in as some do, because I would have expected to see movement in there, but it seems quite happy not to want to move around too much. I'll just change my position and come up a bit more. Now I do this with my rovings, especially if I've got some in stock that are on the website and they've been sat in the box for a fair while. I always take them back out, their bandies that I make, and then just if they feel like they could do with a bit of steam to soften them up, because they've been sat compacted in a box out the way, keeping safe until somebody buys them, then I'll run them over my travel kettle that's upstairs and help soften them off again so they're nicer for when you get them at home. There we go. So that's nearly finished. Just run it back again. There we go. So that's that. Steam set, relaxed, feels softer. You can feel the difference once you've done it. That's me quite happy. So there we go, it even sits better. See? Just turn that kettle off. So it even sits differently. There's no curls in that anymore. So there we are. One nicely balanced steam set yarn. So quite a few of you, I need to say thank you to 3 people. Don't know if you want me to mention your names or not, so I'll not unless you give me consent to. But I had, after I mentioned about my book, it'd be about 4 weeks ago now, the book that a few of you have been nagging me to do for years, I have received some 3 generous donations, or genuinely, obviously wasn't expecting. The Patreon money is helping towards, it's paying for stock so I can do these demos, and whatever's left over is going into my Woolly Book Fund in my savings account at the moment. So yeah, really, really thank you. I'm lost for words when I received these donations from these people. I'm not going to do a pre-order on these books because I will probably finish it this year, but I need to save the money up first because I'm self-publishing, and it's going to cost about 800 quid, maybe less. We'll see how it goes, but at the moment the first initial quote for the company that I'm using is about £800. But I have a lovely lady, she knows who she is, who's a member of Patreon. In her work she gets paperwork thrown at her that she does editing and proofreading, so she's volunteered to help me. So the pages that you guys have seen so far and the ones you're about to see now have all been edited. It'll get re-edited later on when I'm about to send the book off to go and get edited that way, like layout wise, to make sure everything's right and where it needs to be, because I have to pay for that as well. And obviously my book design, I'll be handing that over to the publishers to do that for me. I'm not quite sure how to do that. The rest of this is fine. It's a walk in the park. It's a lot of work, but it's writing it all down once I've wrote it all in my notes, which is the reference book that was behind me, and then writing into notes, rewording it, rejigging it and stuff like that. And then she comes over and makes it more readable. Maybe just tweaks here, there and everywhere, and make sure I've got my grammar right. But otherwise it's been a really good process so far. So the last time I spoke to you about this, I'll turn you around, so thank you very much. If you would like to make a donation to help me with this book, the 3 people that have made these generous donations, they've not been asked, but they will be receiving a free copy because the amount of money they've donated to me. They will be, once this book's done, they will receive a copy in the post as a thank you, and it'll be signed from me. But I haven't gone down that route yet of what I'm going to do for the first set of books. We'll get there nearer the end. I may add in a bat, a roving and a blend set in with the first X amount of orders to help promote that a little bit more, with the first X amount of orders of this book. We'll see how that goes, but we'll get there at the end. But yeah, so the last time we spoke about this book and where I was at, I think I'd done the colour theory, or colour therapy as I always call it, colour theory, and broke that down a little bit easy for you guys. So I'll turn you around and I'll show you where I'm at now. Let me just, 1 second. Is that easier? Right, so hopefully that's easier. You can see it in grid form at the moment. It's just so I can break down the pages a bit more. So I'm just going to tap on the page and it should open it up for me. Should, she says. Hold on a minute. Close grid. This way. Go that way? Yes, it can. Hopefully. So we're at page 15. Extend this page out a little bit more so you can see. So this one is talking about, I can't remember if we got this far last time, but designing with colours in mind. When designing with colour for knitting, it's important because colour significantly impacts the overall look and feel of a knitted piece. For example, influencing the visual interest, mood and even perceived quality of the design, allowing you to create a unique aesthetic by carefully selecting and combining different hues, shades, contrasts to achieve the desired effect. Your key points when choosing your colours to work with is that it is visually appealing, as well as choosing colour palette. A well-chosen colour palette can make a project visually captivating, drawing attention to the pattern and the details. Your mood and your emotions can evoke your mood and emotions can evoke different emotions, so choosing colours intentionally can convey a specific feeling like warmth, calmness or energy. When it comes to knitting colour, your new is your best friend. It can transform your project from meh to wow, influencing everything from the design's mood to its perceived quality. By carefully picking and mixing different shades and contrasts, you can create a masterpiece that is uniquely you. Remember, colour can make or break a project's visual appeal. A well-chosen palette can draw eyes to your intricate patterns and details, but colour just isn't just about looks, it's about feelings too. Whether you want a knitted creation to radiate warmth, exude calmness, or burst with energy, the colours you choose can convey those emotions. So choose intentionally. Your colours are telling a story, so make it a good one. So I go on to the next one. Let's find the next page. So this one, you can see I'm using all the pictures from my rovings and my listings and things like that to help create that personal touch of what you guys all know me about. So so next time you're choosing your colour palette, remember all the cool stuff that we've talked about. You're now equipped with a solid understanding of colour theory, basic, primary, secondary, complementary, analogous colours, and you know how they can dance together to create a harmonious mix. And don't forget, checking out your colours in grayscale can help you see their weight value to ensure your pattern pops against its background. Remember, saturation is all about the intensity and vibrancy of a colour. It's like the spice in your favourite dish. It can totally transform the overall impact of your design. When you're working with multicoloured patterns, you're the boss. You get to decide which colour takes the lead, and this can make a huge difference in how the final piece is viewed. So go ahead, trust your instincts and let your colours sing. Page 17, it's a notes page, so any information that may have been on that page, you can take notes and put them down there. So the next section we're on to is roving tops and dyeing. So I go on about the different types of methods that I use. And the next section is the I think I read this one to you. Imagine holding the strands of an alpaca comb top, where one end has been close to the warmth of the alpaca and the other end has been soaked up in the sun. Now picture an arrow pointing from the cut end to the tip end. When you transform these strands into a yarn, every arrow lines up perfectly, and that's the beauty of hand comb top. So I'm going to put a little diagram in there of arrows, just so if you need that visual look, then that you'll see it. On the flip side, commercial topper woven has a bit more, let's say, character. It's not quite smooth or organised, but that's because hand combing is a fine art that's hard to replicate on a big scale. Commercial top is carefully combed and gilled to get rid of shorter staples and any bits of plants lining up in the fibres just so, and it's versatile. You can spin it from end to end in a neat worsted yarn or from the fold for a more woolen feel. The best part is there's no wrong way to go about it. You've got countless methods of preparing fibre for hand spinning, each with its own charm. Some methods might be better suited to a particular styles of being spun, but most are incredibly flexible, giving you a beautiful yarn no matter how you choose to spin it. So I've talked about micron count down on this page, 21. I talk about leftover dyeing, the pot immersion dyeing, and then we've got pot dyeing here, immersion dyeing again. And from the picture you can see I've achieved a delightful peach tone. It's beautiful. It's a fun result from combing leftover neon pink with just a hint of golden yellow. Unexpectedly, the neon lime had almost completely faded, but when I added turquoise to it, transformed to a striking teal green. It wasn't what I had initially intended, but I find it refreshing when results deviate from the plan. The beauty of this colour change method is the control it gives me in the blending of one hue to the next, which is a bit trickier to manage on a low immersion tray dyeing. This way I can ensure sharp transitions between colours and avoid muddled, murky tones, especially when pairing complementary colours like yellow, purple, orange and blue. This technique also allows for precise control over colour gradients, which is particularly useful for creating striped socks. So you can see here where the colour transitions really literally abruptly changes from one to the other, and that's what I'm talking about here. Next page is about laying out your rovings in your dye trays, which you've seen me do this in the video not long ago. This one's about how to mix up your dyes. So even though I've done the tray thingy first, I could have probably moved this to that part, But I think I just wanted you to think about more about the way of laying out the trays and stuff like that before you even thought about mixing up your dyes yet. So that's why it's sat here. But if you think it needs to be moved around, I think it flows quite nicely from that laying out of the fibre in the trays and what you're going to achieve to actually getting down to the nitty gritty of actually mixing pigments and how much you want to do. So I go on a little bit more. Other factors to consider: different sheep breeds or blended rovings absorb dye bath differently. For instance, if you put wool and silk in the same dye stock, you notice the dye strikes the wool quicker than the silk and in different colour ratios. Hard water can also yield different colours than softer water, so if you find that your wool won't strike fibre any more dye, then add a dash more citric acid. It could be the dye stock's too strong, so go easy on your pigment next time. The general rule of thumb for dye to water ratio is 10 grams of dye to 1 kilo of wool, or 1 gram of dye to 100 grams of wool. Always refer to your dye instructions, as each brand has its own ratio, but keep in mind some dyes like turquoise and fuchsia are strong pigments and just won't saturate or strike into the fibre completely, and you're left with the colour in the water. You're aiming for clear water, but don't stress. You've got a couple of tricks up your sleeve. First, you can toss in some extra wool or add a bit of silk or trilobal to give that dye a nudge. Turn off the heat, let it cool down, and with your wool in there, it can also help. It often is enough to coax that last bit of dye to bond with your fibre. Plus, it's always safer to let the water cool before you go ahead and rinse. So yeah, that's that section. Talk about rovings a little bit more on the next page, showing about the results that I had from layering in a specific way and the types of, these are blended rovings as well, bamboo, merino and soya I think it is. Another notes page, 2 notes page, because it's a dyeing section, so I wanted you to have plenty pages to write your notes on. That may change, but at the moment it's happy where it is. Roving preparation and swatches is next. You're probably feeling excited about your dye tray results right now and maybe a little surprised. That's the thrill of creating. Don't worry if you're not sure what project to use a dye for yet. You're just experimenting and having fun with it. As your confidence grows, you'll likely want to dye in larger batches, maybe for a cosy cardigan or as a weft weaving. Most spinners have a rough idea of how much they can spin from 100 grams, whether it's a roving or a bat. For example, let's say you consistently spin a DK weight from 100 gram roving and get about 215 yards. If your pattern calls for 1,150 yards, you'll want to dye around 600 grams. But why not add a little more and make it 700 grams? This will ensure that you've always got plenty and you won't have to try and replicate your dye recipe, which, trust me, rarely turns out the same. It's always a good idea to keep a record of the dyes that you use for future reference, and when you're buying rovings or blended bats, throw in an extra 100 grams or so, just in case. If you don't end up using it, you can always use it for pattern work on a yoke or in another project. So yeah, this is where I'm at the moment. There's another picture that's got to go in here as well. So talking about different preparations and roving styles, the videos that you've been watching recently, that's what these are around. So this was what was it again? What wool did I use? I can't remember. Galway tops, that's what that was. I explained the method I used in the dyeing of them and the knitted swatches. Then fractal spun yarn. Fractal spinning bestows upon you the artistry of precise control over colour patterning in your yarn, conjuring visually captivating self-striping effects with the repeated contour sequences of varying scales. Echoing the enchanting mathematical concept of fractions and fractals, this technique imparts your finished knitted or crochet creations with a distinctive and dynamic allure, showcasing striking colour transitions throughout the fabric in contrast to traditional plying methods that tend to blend colours more uniformly. So spinning for softer stripes, that sort of thing. A couple of 2-ply fractals and I think it was a 3-ply fractal that I did as well. So that's the results of those on the bobbins and the different results that I got on them. What else have we got here at this page, number 37? Barber pole yarns. So I'll show you the results of those. Those are on they're in the system now. I've just got to get the pictures up there and finish off this little section and write up my results. carded out bats. We're getting to that next, but I still want to put in a couple more sections into the roving preps, and this is where you guys can help. Let's go back to that one. So, these are the knitted results of my barber pole. Now the light's not great, so excuse me. So this was two-tone blues, the blue and purple one that I knitted up, and I showed you the pictures of them on my video the other week. There is the olive and lime green. That is lime green and turquoise. So these have already been photographed, they've just got to go up there. This was two tones of the same dye pot on there. Then I've got chocolate brown and pink, and then this one was supposed to be lavender and teal. So that's the results of those. Now, I did mention on my Instagram live chat at the weekend that if you guys have got any type of preparation of your roving for doing a specific style of yarn, like your fractals and your barber poles and this, that and the other, and you prepare your roving in a specific way, or do you just grab bunches of it in different colours and put them together, or do you split up a roving and you don't mind if there's a little bit of the next colour on there and you just spin it out the basket as it goes, like a confetti style, which is a prep that I'm going to put in. But if there's anything that you do, could you get in touch with me? If it's got a name, let me know, and I will go and look it up and research, and then I can add it into this book. I need a couple of more different sections about different types of roving prep before I can go any further. Then I'll feel like I've given you enough to play with and enough food for thought. Yeah, I think I've got 2 more variations that I know of. If you guys, as I say, have got anything else, let me know. Drop a comment in down below, or drop me a message over on Instagram. You know you can get me over there, no problem. And let me know how you do it, if there isn't a name for it. And I will include that, and I'll figure it out, and I will actually go off and do it myself and get that on the website. Yeah. I think the next videos I'm going to dye up some rovings in blended rovings. I think I've got a silk upstairs that's been blended with merino and something else. So I've got 2 others that I want to show you the effects of what they can look like when you've dyed them. By using, like, especially, I think I'm positive one's got silk in it. So I want to pre-soak that with a little bit of washing up liquid, and half of I've got 100 grams of it, so I want to pre-soak 1/2 with a little bit of washing up liquid and just let it sit and soak, and then just soak the other one as I would normally do, and then dye them both the same and see if there's a difference in the results as to how, if the dye struck the silk, because you can use acid dye on silks. But that's my little experiment that I want to do next. So yeah, and get that spun up. So I just want to include that, and I'll probably go back a couple of pages, and that's what I've been doing, is I've been going back in a couple of pages, adding bits in that come to my head, or somebody might say something to me, oh Jo, can you add this in there, like from the lass that's helping me out, and I've got 2 other people that are sort of reading it through at the moment. I'm not going to mention no names. So yeah, they're my beta testers, you see. They're looking through it and double checking that they like the look of it, and that I'm going in the right direction. I'm not going a bit too geeky and a bit more like the rest of the normal books that we all refer to. This one's supposed to be friendly, chatty, something you feel like you can sit and read, and not just a page at a time, but actually I feel chapter, like, I enjoyed that, right, I think I'll go, I feel confident to do it. And that's what I want this book to be. That's how this book, I want it to be, that sort of thing. So anyway, that's it for today. This video is actually really, really long. It'll make up for me missing last week's. If you've been catching up with me on social media, you'll know why there's been a delay this last week. I will put another video on probably next week, and that one will be a dye, and we will do that challenge to see if, I'll double check what it is I've got upstairs, but if end comes to end, I may just dye just a silk that I've got upstairs and show you. And I think that might be a good thing to put in here as well. Though I was going to do that sort of thing in the bat section, but it doesn't really matter here nor there anyway, does it? The bats pages, that's going to be a lot of photographs. I would say. And trying to get what comes naturally to me into words is going to be really hard for me. It's going to be the trickiest piece, I think. So anyway, I'm going to get going. You take care of yourselves. Don't forget to put comments down below. I'll put the Q&A up for this month down in the comments. Please do help me out. Drop suggestions, ideas that you maybe think that I want to add into this book. This book's for you guys at the end of the day. It's for all of you. So if there's anything in there that you think you have struggled to understand in reference books and workbooks that are out there, and you maybe I can layman terms it down for you, let me know. And then I can make sure that this is the book that you really, really want to have. Anyway, that's me definitely off. Take care of yourselves. I'll speak to you soon. And I'll catch you in about a week. Bye for now.